Okay, let's get started. Hey horrifics, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. If this is the first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get notification every single time that I post a video, and I post every single week. As you can see in the title, on today's video, I'm going to be giving you a full watch list of 31 horror movies until Halloween. Now, Halloween is coming up, October is coming up, and although I do this every day of watching horror movies, I know that some people decide October to watch more than on the year. And last year I did a list of 31 horror movies, but since I didn't have a YouTube channel, I didn't make a video. But of course, this year, of course, I'm going to make it. So this is going to be a little quicker video than usual. Why? Because 31 movies. I don't want to bore you here talking about every single one way too slow. Like, just get to the point, right? So this is going to be a little quicker, maybe more general explanation of the whole plot, just in case. On the description box down below, they're going to find a link to my blog post that has the movies with a little description and where they're available. Still, I'm going to be putting it right here, but just in case, I'm going to be putting it down on the blog post. And also, I'm going to suggest you to use the Just Watch app. This is not sponsored, but this is an app that I use in order to find a movie or a TV series and see in which streaming services it's available. So I think that it's pretty handy. It's free. So like I said, this is not sponsored, but it's something that has helped me a lot, and it also helped me making this list. So giving a little talk here, disclaimer, let's get into the video. This, it's obviously all horror, but has a little bit of everything because I wanted to make it like a mix rather than maybe just doing classics or old horror movies. Like we have some ones that even came out this year, some ones that are the classic because it feels wrong if they're not on the list, but has a little bit of everything and also a little bit of every single streaming service. I didn't want to like just focus on one. Of course, we have some streaming services that has way more content than others, but that's something that happens. Now the first one is 13 Ghosts. Now basically this one is about a man that dies and has a mansion, and when the people that basically is going to stay with the house, they realize that it's a prison for ghosts. Now this one didn't have a well-received critics when it first got released, but over the years it has kind of a cult following, and I think that is pretty good. I mean, it's in a list for a reason. Next one is a more modern horror that is the Mortuary Collection. This is a Shudder original. Now this one basically is an anthology horror movie. It's a mortician that is talking to this girl that suddenly wants to work with him because they're looking for help. But she's like, tell me a scary story. So he proceeds to tell her different stories, and they don't really connect. This is not the type of anthology movie that these stories connect, but it's pretty fun. And like I said, it's a Shudder original, so you have Shudder, probably have even watched it already. This one came out in 2019, so it's pretty recent, but it wasn't, for me, it was really impressive. I wasn't expecting it to be this good, but the reality is that it is really good. Next one we have Raw. This is a 2016 French horror movie. I remember that I watched it when it was released on Netflix. This one is about a girl that is on vet school and is vegetarian just like all of her family. And she's forced to taste meat on the vet school. And she starts to get a desire for flesh. This is, like I said, it's French. So probably going to find it with on their original language. But I think that this one is a must watch. It's kind of a little bit weird, but I promise you it's good. Next one, this is a more classic one, and it's Child's Play. I decided to put it since we have the Chucky series coming up. I felt like having Chucky on the list was needed. Now this one, in case that you have never watched it, we have this doll that has the spirit and soul of a killer, and now he wants to trespass his soul to a kid that his name is Andy. And he uses a good guy doll in order to like live because he was almost killed in his human body. Like I said, this one is pretty classic one, but of course for me it felt wrong not having it since we're having Chucky series coming on October 12th. Next one is another classic, and it's Candyman. Probably you already watched the year's version of Candyman, but this one I really liked it, so I felt like they had to be here. Now, I think that this one is pretty self-explanatory, but in case that you haven't watched any of those, we have this thesis student that starts to investigate about the legend of Candyman. That basically he's a man that kills with a hook if you call him 5 times in front of a mirror. Now it's a newer legend, but it's also a pretty classic one. I mean, it's one of my favorites. Now jumping a little bit on the comedy side, we have Beetlejuice. This comedy horror film by Tim Burton follows the ghost with the most. That basically his only motive in life is to haunt people and the new guest on the house that he's basically staying. Now, this is a pretty iconic horror movie, although it's more on the comedy side and it's not scary at all. But still, I think that is a really fun watch. Now, a really recent one that I absolutely love is Till Dead, that is protagonized by Megan Fox. Now, on this one, we have Megan Fox's character that she basically ends with her dead husband handcuffed to her wrist because he's suicidal while being handcuffed, because that was his plan all along. And I think that is a really fun cat and mouse kind of chase. I even did a review on it in case that you're interested in that, but this one is a really good one and came out just this year. Now, another one that I think that it's a classic, if you ask me, it is Jennifer's Body. Now, this one deserves way more of a high rating that it has. I mean, it's really low, the rating that it has. Now we have Jennifer Check, who is a cheerleader that eventually gets possessed and starts killing boys. So this one, it's an early 2000s, but such a good one. It's actually, for me, the most iconic role, Megan Fox, if you ask me. So of course, I had to recommend it. Now this one follows more on the Halloween anthology format and is Tales of Halloween. These ones are 10 different stories compiled into one movie. I think that goes really with the vibe of the holiday and the whole month. So of course, this is why I am recommending it. I really like anthology movies, so of course I'm going to have more than one. Next one is Crimson Peak. I think that this one deserves way more than it has. This one follows a woman that gets married to a baronet, but suddenly the house where they're living, that it's his house, has some ghosts who are warning her about some danger. Now this one is by Guillermo del Toro. This is a gothic romance. It's beautiful, not just the story, but when it comes to the setting and the costumes, everything. I mean, that is gorgeous. This one deserves way more and it's on Netflix. Probably you have already watched it. But in case that you haven't, this is a must watch. But this is not the type of horror that gets you scared. This is more on the gothic and beautiful side, if you ask me. Next ones, we have Fear Street Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. These ones I put in here because they became pretty popular, of course, since they were released this year. I really like it. So, of course, I mean, they're on the slasher side, and I do really enjoy slasher. So these ones are going to follow Dina and her journey onto trying to fight and discover what is happening behind the legend of her local town of Sarah Fear that was a witch. Now, this is on R.L. Stein's based books. So of course it's a little more on the teenager horror side, but definitely I think that is worth giving it a watch if you haven't already. Next one we have Final Destination. Now we can cheat death, but definitely we can feel traumatized by doing normal things because of these movies. Now this first one, it's basically this kid that has a premonition that the plane that he is going to explode, and it does. And eventually all the ones that are with him are probably going to be dying on the same order that they were supposed to die on the plane, but they need to find a way to cheat death so that they don't die. I think that this is a pretty fun concept. Of course, Final Destination is a pretty popular franchise, but I'm just putting here the first one. But if you want to follow up and see the next one, the other ones, they're more free to go. This one is more childless, but it's Hocus Pocus. I mean, we cannot pass October without seeing our beautiful Sanderson sisters trying to eat children. I mean, this one is an ultimate October Halloween classic, so of course it had to be here. I think that this is actually one of the only few ones that are actually for children. Next one is The Ring. I really like this remake. Basically, we have this videotape that if you watch it, you're going to die in 7 days. And when this woman does, she's going to try all her best to not die and to discover what's the whole mystery behind it. This is a remake of a Japanese horror movie, but I think that is really a good one. I think it's only of the few good remakes that we have ever had in horror. So of course, this is a must watch. Next one is Terrifier. This one, I watched it a few years ago on Netflix. This is I would kind of low budget horror movie. It's kind of cheesy, but really core, and the blast some killing scenes that leave you like thinking, whoa, that hurts. But this one is about a clown that starts to creeping out some girls on Halloween night. But like I said, I'm not expected to be the best one out there, but definitely I think that it deserves a little bit more than it has received. Next one is Wes Craven classic Scream. Now this one follows Cindy Prescott that her mom died, she's having some trauma about it, and suddenly someone in a ghost face mask and a costume is killing her classmates. Now this one, I think it's an ultimate classic when it comes to October Halloween in general. I truly love this, one of my favorites. I think that Wes Craven did such a good job with making fun of the genre that he even kind of helped to make. I mean, with Freddy, we all know that, right? But at the end, making fun of yourself can be a good thing, right? Now jumping a little bit more on the comedy side, we have Freaky. This is a little more recent one. Basically, we have this girl and this assassin that they cross bodies just like Freaky Friday. But of course, a little bit more on the horror killing side. I really like it, this one, especially because the actors, you can really see how they transform, having to be like, for example, Vince Vaughn. I mean, he's a 6 foot tall man trying to look, well, not precisely look, but act like a teenager. He does it amazingly. So of course, it's a really fun watch and I really enjoyed it. It's on HBO Max for a few months already. So if you have the streaming service, maybe you have already watched it, but in case that you haven't, now you have the recommendation. Next one, I think that this one deserves to be here, and is The Conjuring by James Wan. This one is going to follow one of Ed and Lorraine Warren's cases. Now, I do really like James Wan's work in general, but this one, I'm not going to lie, I really enjoy The Conjuring, although I don't enjoy the whole franchise. But the first one, I think that is really good, and of course, deserves to be here. This is a personal favorite, that is The Uninvited. This is going to follow Alex and Anna, who after their mother's death, they're going to start to suspect that her mother's nurse, that is about to become their stepmother, she could have been the one behind the accident that made her die. Now this one, like I said, is a really personal favorite. I have mentioned it already a few times on my channel, has a really good plot twist that I love. So this one, it's a low rated horror movie, but trust me when I tell you that it's not bad. I think that we cannot pass October without watching The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the ultimate Halloween movie for children. If you ask me, it's one of my favorites. Here we have the Pumpkin King, Jack Skellington, becoming bored with Halloween. I mean, how could he? But he decides to start something new, and he eventually came across with Christmas. Now, this is the type of movie that people see on Halloween and Christmas. I watch it all year long, but this one, of course, had to be here because if not, it felt wrong. Next one is a personal favorite, and it's American Psycho. We have Patrick Bateman and his killing spree while he becomes insane. I think that Christian Bale did an amazing job as bringing Bateman to life. It's a personal favorite and an early 2000s movie that I just love. Next one, I think that this is definitely one of my favorite vampire horror movies, 30 Days of Night. We have this town in Alaska where they're going to have 30 days without any sunlight, meaning that these vampire creatures, basically they have all on their advantage to start killing the people that lives there. I really enjoyed this one. It's really bloody and gore, early 2000s horror movie, but the reality is that I just love early 2000s horror movies. I can't do anything about it. Next one, we have Let the Right One Get In. This is another vampire horror movie. Now this one, it's a foreign European horror movie. We have an American remake, but this one is better. Basically, we have this 12 years old boy that her neighbor has something different from the rest of the kids that you know, and he wants to get kind of revenge on the bullies of his school. So of course the girl is going to help him, but not in the way that you may be thinking. Now this one, like I said, has American remake. Probably you have already watched that one, but this one, like I tell you, it's way better. So has the same concept, same story, but way better. Next one, it's Lights Out. This is based on the short film that came out a few years ago. This one basically is about a creature that basically appears when there's no light. Like if you turn it off, it's going to appear. So I think this one was a surprise for me. I didn't expect it to be this good, but it is. I watched it, I think it was last year because it was on HBO Max. but it's no longer there. But still, this is a recommendation that I will do because the reality is that it too does deserve the chance. Next one, it's the famous and well acclaimed A Quiet Place. Now basically we have some creatures on earth that are going to attack you if they hear you, so if you remain silent, you're going to be just fine. The second one just came out this year, but of course I prefer a little bit more the first one, but if you want to watch part 1, part 2, of course you can do it because we're expecting part 3 next year. Next one is an ultimate favorite of mine, and is The Orphanage or El Orfanato. This is a Spanish movie from Guillermo del Toro. I really like his work. This one is a beautiful ghost story. You have this woman that his kid goes missing, and by all these months she's going to try with the ghost of their house that she's living to trying to find him. I think that is a beautiful story. It's creepy and the setting is gorgeous. They actually live in an orphanage that is where she used to live when she was little. It's gorgeous, the reality, and it deserves all the praise and all the attention because seriously, it's a good one. We cannot have and pass October without watching Trick or Treat. Of course, remember to follow some rules. Now, this is another anthology horror movie, but with the twist that these ones do actually connect. So please pay attention to all the stories because at the end, they're all going to connect in a way that you're not expecting. And also, please don't forget to follow his rules. Wear a costume, give candy, make sure to check your candy, and never lie down at jack-o'-lantern because Sam maybe get furious. This one I included because really I think that is a classic and I felt wrong if I didn't include it, and it's The Exorcist. This is the ultimate horror movie. I think by so many it's recognized as the scariest one or the best one ever. I know that some people differ, but at the end I think that it does deserve to have been here. I think that this one is pretty self-explanatory, but we have Regan that suddenly starts to get possessed after playing with a Ouija board. So this one is the ultimate classic horror movie, so of course it had to be here. And now to complete the list, I think that this one is maybe not a surprise, maybe a little bit cheesy, but it's Halloween of 1978. Now, of course, we're going to follow Michael Myers' path on killing everybody until arriving to Laurie. Now, of course, Halloween Kills is coming up, so if you want to catch up with the franchise, here's the time. But of course, for me, I think the Halloween needs to be watched, specifically also on Halloween, although I watch it the rest of the year, but on Halloween night, all I watch is Halloween. And basically, this is it for the list. Like I said, I was going to be a little bit on the quicker side, but I hope you guys have understand me. Like I said, is also on the description box down below the link to the blog where you can see the actual full plot of the movie and where it's actually available in case that you forgot. And well, this is basically it. If you're going to watch any of my recommendations, feel free to share with me or maybe tag me if you have me already on Instagram. If you haven't, the link is on the description box down below. And well, I think that this is it. I am really excited for October and the spooky season. So of course, a lot of more content is coming very soon. So this is all for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be see you guys on the next one. Bye!